2, 1. Introduce yourself, young lady.
I am Coach Skeete. I am the head women's basketball coach at the Texas Southern University.
And with that, we'll just start off with the first question. Your inquiries when this job first opened up.
What my inquiries?
Yeah.
Well, for his staff.
Yeah.
This is such a phenomenal place. It is. That was one of the hardest processes that I've kind of been through in my life, is trying to say yes and no to players and staff. Everybody wanted to help. Everybody wanted to be a Tiger. Everybody wanted to contribute. Everybody had so much love, for this university, or excitement. I had heard good things about it. So, they taught me a lot even in that process as well, that I probably didn't know prior to taking the job. So it's been great. I have so many people pouring in with help, and just, people I've known over the years, now knowing what I stand for, knowing the type of kids I usually coach and mold to be. So it's been overwhelming. It's literally been overwhelming. I'm not even gonna lie.
When you were a player coming up, doing your recruiting process and the coaches you had, how did you use that as a process to get into coaching?
I just wanted to be authentic. I think sometimes, and you'll hear this a lot as we kind of go through the process when you get to know me and my staff. We're very transparent. We lay everything out. There's so many times we just don't know what a coach is thinking, and they assume that you do. You don't know why you're not playing. You don't know why your shots aren't falling. So those kind of things I wanted to make sure I took out of the whole process, not just in recruiting, but as I was coaching them. So a lot of the things we did would really be like, I made sure all of my staff were elite level skill developers, so that the kids always knew where they were going and what they were developing and what they needed to work on. So there's no confusion or frustration. And also learning to highlight things outside of scoring. Like, the team with the most points wins. We know that, right? Basketball gets really simple when you think of it like that. But also finding ways to amplify and uplift other areas of the game. Because if you scored 30 points, probably 15 of those points might have came from a screen. So you have to reward the screen assist, the person that actually set it for you. Or, 15 of those points, maybe 10 assists, somebody assisted to pass you the ball, the point guard or whatever. So with that being said, we had to make sure that we were highlighting everybody around the court and everything they was doing, and making sure we promote that so everybody buys into their role and they feel like they're contributing. When you feel like you're contributing, you're a part of something, you tend to work on it harder and value it more. And that's just really the element of the things that I'm trying to bring as I progress as a player and a coach. I'm bringing in to say kids are usually happy when they have those attributes. That's what I'm trying to really bring in this situation.
What was the most interesting find that you paid attention to, or that you found out that you didn't know when you applied for the job at Texas Southern?
The resources. I honestly, I was shocked. I was pleasantly shocked. I don't know. It's probably bad to have an assumption. Sometimes when you're coming from the Power 5, you hear stories. And obviously, I've been at HBCU before, but to see what Texas Southern at, and to have a president, she said, I want transformational leaders. We're going to make sure we take care of our kids. And hey, if you need to you ask. And when you have that from the top, VP Granger and all of the people within our administration who are pouring into art, it's remarkable how much hands-on, and you just don't have it. There's a lot of places that you can go, Power 5 or not, who could care less about women's basketball. That's all I can talk about. I can't talk about resources. Whatever. You may have more money in your budget, but they don't care about the progress and the success. But I can tell you, President Crumpton Young cares about women's basketball. VP Granger cares about women's basketball, and that's just delightful. It's super exciting to be working in a place like that. So, they're really like, Coach, what do you need? We want to get you off to a good start. And everybody, baseball has come, softball, track, everybody this is truly a family. They have all come and asked for support and help. Like, what do you need? Let me show you how to do this. Like, I haven't felt alone. I haven't felt new. I felt like they literally have been, even academics, Ms. Evans, we have an amazing group of people, even down to our facilities, Mr. Eddie. I could name literally everybody that work in that building. Chris LeBlanc, oh my God, lifesaver, right? I've been hands-on. I really do feel like I'm part of the family already, because nobody was standoffish. Everybody leaned in. Everybody's helping me get situated. And I thank them, because my biggest thing coming in, and I told my staff this, I said, what we lack is a lack on their experience. And just because our kids are starting at HBCUs versus, or Stanford, or they may have more resources, but they should never lack in experience. Their student athlete experience should still be full of joy. It still should be full of excellence. They still should be prescribing to certain things that are coming that don't take money. And TSU believes in that, and they've been doing that. So that's what I'm excited about moving forward and going into this year.
You've mentioned the staff several times now. What did that process, how did that go as far as you not just saying, okay, I want a job?
Yeah, I'm very strategic. One thing I can tell something about my former bosses, and Katie Meyer, who is at Miami, and Carolyn Keeger, who is at, Penn State. They always say operate like a head coach. So my plan and my booklet had been ready to go. When BB Granger said yes, I was ready. I was ready. So I already knew what my staff was going to be. I wanted people that, again, could be elite level skill developers, would be committed to the process of the student athlete experience. So they would be willing to do more personally to make sure our kids had enough. And I wasn't going to compromise that. And I had a ton of people come out and really highly qualified. Nobody came out. Some people want to get their foot in the door or whatever. But I say, hey, whatever we lack, our students are going to lack. So I made sure that I got the best situation possible where our kids, not the future, because we can get to the future. We're going to have to recruit. We're going to have to bring. But the ones that said yes now, we got to make sure we take care of them. And so I really do feel like I have an incredible staff that can do all of those things. So.
The one big thing that has happened since you've got into the coaching game, and it's a big question mark, and it's starting to get all crazy now, but I'm going to just mention it. Transfer portal.
I love it. I love it.
Really?
I love it. I absolutely love it, because you know what? Here's the thing. It's time for coaches to also be accountable. If I say this in the recruiting process, I should live up to it. Now, if a kid just doesn't, hey, maybe maybe you misjudged in what they said they were looking for. But again, if a kid leaves because there are some other outlier situations where people are cheating and recruiting, whatever, I get all of that. But at the end of the day, I do think that it is their experience. And I don't want nobody here that's not going to be happy, because you're going to eat away for the rest of everybody else's experience. I want people that want to play for me, that want to put on a TSU jersey, that's happy about it, that prescribe to what the mission is. I don't care how many points you have. If you don't believe in what it means to be a Tiger, you don't deserve the university, so you should find that place somewhere. So this is not, they don't have to be here. They can find a place that they can be happy. So I love it. I think it's great. You can put, and now with women's basketball, it'll even the playing field out. We don't need 15 All-Americans on one team. And nobody else wants to watch the rest of them. Maybe the 15, 13, 14 person that's, up at UConn should be here. And, maybe the 13, 14 person that's here should be down at, Houston Baptist and stuff. Like, it needs to spread out. And when that does, it will become March Madness like the men. It will be more competitive. It will be more transparency in it. There'll be so the parity is great. I love it. I think, we just keep managing it, make sure we're prescribing to the right things, and we're not, we're not bothering these kids' minds and stressing them out all year while they're playing. But, at the end of the year, if they're deciding differently,
You just mentioned something else that's starting to happen across the sport, college sports, mental health.
Yeah.
It's starting to, that's been the next thing. And just me personally, I think it's just what you just said, stress on the kid as an athlete, not to perform in the classroom, but to perform on the field of battle.
Yeah, it's one thing that I put in my booklet when I first talked to VP Granger. I said, hey, I have a thing I built, it's called Me Training. It stands for mental enhancement. The problem sometimes with basketball is that it is a great foundation, but we don't really grow with the game. So John Wooden was great in his pyramid of success. It was amazing, but 200 years later, these ain't the same kids, and I'm exaggerating about the time, but we have to progress, right? We have to progress for the time. We can't stay back and continue to complain about what these kids don't bring to the table. We have to meet them at where they are. They have different circumstances. They have different, stimuluses that they go through every day, so we have to meet them where they are. So that's a part of what we do. We have what we call mental enhancement. training, because the problem is a lot of the way that we knew, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, you know, but a lot of the way we learned mental toughness was physical toughness.
That's true.
You know, but so now we've taken a lot of that extra stuff out of the game because it probably isn't legal. But now there's a lot of people who don't know how to continue to increase that when they remove that. So we're trying to expect kids to be mentally tough, but we're no longer teaching it. So how do we combine the two and make sure we created another portal for them to do that as well? So that's what our mental enhancement training is about. It teaches them about themselves. It teaches them, again, it's like not force. This is just information, because that's what college is about. It's not learning you. This is their stage where they get away from their major influences and they learn to become and find their own thoughts, their own process. So we can help them along the way with that. And so that's what we're going to do here as well.
Now, individually, talk about your staff. Who are they?
You know, I have Coach Bogut, you know, who is my top assistant, and you know, he's coming from Oklahoma. He's been on the men's side, you know, so he's coached on the college ranks. He recently just finished at high school in Oklahoma, but phenomenal post developer, you know, coached some of the best post game, you know, top classes, won national championships and things like that. So he's a winner. You know, so that's really exciting, bringing him in, and he's going to help be a little staple in our post area, which, you know, if you watch the game, and I have, I'm kind of a nerd like that, but our post stats, our efficiency isn't really high. So that's his first task as a coach, like, hey, what can you do to build our efficiency on post touches and finishes? So that's something that I'm excited about him bringing to the table. And he's a family person. He's married. He has a wife, Tanya, and 2 boys. And so, you know, these kids get to see more of a father figure as well around, somebody who's going to care. He's all of my believers. You know, they believe in God just as well as I do. So it's a lot of that nurturing and understanding and being led by the right calling that'll be, you know, kind of built into, infused into our program. Coach Cedric Salas, he spent about 15 years, I can't remember exactly, but up in Syracuse. You know, he was there when they went on their Final Four run. You know, he's been back and forth in between the Dobo and the assistant coach. You know, so just operating on that elite level, you know, doing things just for student athlete enhancement. He'll be able to bring that to the table, because that's the biggest thing. What else is out there? How can we make use of the rules with what we have with the lease? How can we keep growing with what we have to make the best opportunity for them? That was really important to me. So that's why he's here to really help us. And then we also have Ashley Clark, who's coming from the high school range. She hasn't really been a college coach, but she is an elite. She's coached some of the top. I mean, she's had a top 5 player. All of her starting 5 went Division I, because she's an elite level skill developer. She's been a pro. She played at the University of Tulsa as well, so she has collegiate experience. So, you know, really, really sharp staff. So I'm super excited about them coming and what they're bringing to the table, and just people who know what it feels like to work. Know everybody's been in college. They know the real life of the balance between academics and athletics, and then proper rest for mental sanity. You know, and so they'll all help me, you know, build decisions and as a leader to make sure that we're taking the best effort we can, you know, with our kids to provide a great situation. So,
now, the major question.
Okay.
Dealing with what you've seen from the outside, SWAC.
Yeah, the SWAC.
Now you're here.
I'm here.
And what do you see, and what do you?
I mean, well, you know, I heard a lot in this recruiting process, which is interesting to me, and I'm going to put people on notice about this, because I will be talking about it in the recruiting field.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, there's a lot of conferences that talk about it, you know, being hired in the SWAC, but if the last time you checked, if you've been watching the news, the SWAC is producing pros. And there's a lot of conferences out there that may feel like they're above us, but they're not producing anything, you know. So with that being said, the SWAC is on the way. So the SWAC shouldn't be looked at like, oh, you know, that's the HBCU or that, because what the SWAC is now doing is producing people who are expanding their potential and getting to the next level. So what you see Jackson State and FAMU and all of those are doing around, they're doing the right thing. We're going to follow the same template. We want to produce pros. We come here, we expect to have pros come out of our throughout the years. That's what we want. We want all Americans, because you can do it from anywhere, and you sure can do it at Texas Southern. You know, so that's our plan and that's our goal. We want to follow that same script. But we are putting conferences in the nation on notice. You know, you want to talk about, oh, well, we have more resources, but with your resources, you're continuing getting kids and you're not making them any better. The SWAC is doing that. The swag is maximizing there. So the swag is where it's at, people. The swag is where it's at.
And with that, reintroduce yourself. We're going to close this out. That's a high note.
I am Coach Skeete. I am the head coach at Texas Southern University, and I am ready and excited to be a Tiger.
This is Jerry Lee Woodley Jr., the college sports reporter, signing off.